Hey guys, let's drop on in here. Let's do a little bit of chat about learning at home. I just wanted to make sure that I got all of this content out to all of you all, just to support. I think one of the things that I really want us to consider and think about as we're doing this is not just considering a reactive approach, but kind of a proactive approach as we go to it. Yes, we're reacting to all of the things that are going on around us, but I really wanted to be proactive about thinking about the things that we can leverage and be able to have opportunities where we didn't have them before when it comes to student learning. So I know we're trying to provide a lot of the resources and things that are going on in our classroom, but I think we're also trying to look forward and say, hey, here are some things that we didn't get a chance to use or didn't get a chance to do with our students in class, and here are some things that are around them in their environment that they have opportunities to do bigger things than what we have for them too. So trying to not just take this time at home and take it in the back seat, but kind of put it forward in the driver's seat and see what we can do to make it work for us. So let's check it out. Take a look at this quote. I'll read it to you. Some of you may have heard of Donnellan before. It says, the fact that educators coined the terms real reading, authentic reading, and independent reading to differentiate what readers do in school from what readers do in life is part of the problem. Why do those things have to be different? Take a minute and think about how this quote supports your thinking about literacy and the environment. Take a minute and pause the video for a second, but list two of the main challenges that you're facing in supporting at-home learning. All right, you can log in and go to this Padlet here. I want you to take some time to add some of your strategies and structures to it. It's called Learning at Home. So I've got it pulled up here. We've got each of the things that we're doing: environmental print, authentic scenarios, harnessing media, and leveraging feedback that we'll cover. So take the time as we go through each concept to stop here, jot some things that you're thinking of, add to it, as well as just to be able to take away the information that's there too as well. So, all right. So those are the things we're going to cover. We're going to cover environmental print. So really looking at how we can harness the powerful text that's available throughout the house. There's words and text everywhere in the house, and so how can we use that to support our students? Authentic scenarios, so looking at how we can use genuine or real life scenarios, either what's happened before or create new ones with people that know the students really well and that have experienced these scenarios as well. The next one is harnessing media, so thinking through some different ways to support the use of videos and video instruction as they are probably looking at more of those things and have access to more of those things through the tools that you're using. Leveraging feedback, this last piece is really important as we support the adults that are now their primary instructors at home. So we're doing a lot of our work ourselves and building things, but the direct instruction that's coming is generally coming from the house with adults that may not have some of the experience and knowledge that we do. So let's look at environmental print. Take a look at these various pieces of environmental print. These are from around my house. So we've got a coffee maker. It's got the word Max on it and some numerals. Next to it in the top right-hand corner, you can see that we've got a recipe. Then we have an oven down here with the words on the oven. And lastly, we have some DVDs with some DVD titles. So take a minute and pause the video and brainstorm some of the things that you might be able to do with some of these different texts that exist around our house. All right, maybe you've had some ideas like this. So thinking about using different things like finding print if your kids are younger. So for instance, let's find the letter M. There we go, it's right there, and Max. Or if we have older students, we might be thinking, how can we write instructions? How can we write step-by-step instructions to do something? So let's follow the instructions in a recipe, maybe look at it, maybe notice some of the words that they use to tell us what the next steps are, maybe write something similar and see if somebody else can follow our instructions to do something. So thinking about writing procedural text and using text as model. On the oven, we've got some different words. Somebody mentioned earlier today, Miss Bates, thank you very much, looking at some of these words and thinking about vocabulary. Some of these words they may not know of, like broil, what's broil? Um, Thinking about some of those other things that are going on throughout all of those pieces. Looking at the movie titles, using those to generate writing prompts for the students. Looking at punctuation conventions, different things that we're seeing, right, throughout all of it. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is enhancing the availability of the print. So think about this. I've labeled a few things here in my house, right? We've labeled the light in the wall. So having environmental print available, but not just having it available, but making it more prominent. So thinking about how you can encourage the adults to make vocabulary and words more prominent around the house and put those things in place. As I was doing this, my first grade son was like, "Hey, Dad, can we put the word door on the door? And can we put the word refrigerator on the refrigerator?" So the kids are very much involved in desiring to do things like that. The last piece here is teaching practices. So here's some teaching practices to think about to do with your environmental text. You can have them do a word hunt around the house or a letter hunt. You can have them do a syllable hunt. So hunt for words that contain 3 syllables. Hunt for words that contain vowel digraphs. So there's lots of different types of hunts they could do. You could have them create word families. So take a word that they find in their environment and create the words that are associated with that. So isolate maybe the beginning grapheme and making the rest of it flow from that, right? Or that initial sound that they're hearing, if you want to do it that way. Allow addition to environmental print. So how could they add things? So like my son was wanting to do is write and label things all over the house, and that would be really awesome. Allowing the students to use their favorite text is read aloud and providing questions maybe to support those things from the other people. So think about other ideas that you might have. Navigate over here to the Padlet. It says padlet.com/zooktalk/learning at home. So you see that there. And go ahead and add some of the things that you may be thinking about here to environmental print. Authentic scenarios. This is a picture of my son at the zoo. And one of the reasons I put that up there is because I really think about how much we are allowing the adults to use the authenticity or the scenarios that were happening around them to leverage the student's ability to tell stories or to give us information. So, for instance, with my son at the zoo, we could have had him do an informational text about 2 of his favorite animals that he saw at the zoo. What did he learn? Not only give a narrative piece about why he enjoyed the animal and some things he observed when he saw it, but also thinking about having him maybe do some research and some other types of things to build out his informational text around that. So thinking about leveraging real life. So we're writing prompts, using writing prompts that take advantage of the caregiver's knowledge of events in the student's life. We even talked about earlier about having a photograph on the phone or something like that to help jog the student's memory and to keep them active and engaged in that. The other thing to do is provide opportunities for new experiences around the house or outside. So I think about allowing them to do things like I don't know, encourage a walk around the backyard and explore and find a leaf and describe the leaf in great detail. If you're working on descriptive words or similes or metaphors, you could have them go outside and kick a soccer ball around or kick a ball around and then use those different things to describe what's going on. So think about those pieces there. Again, go to the Padlet, add more there. Let's jump into media real quick. So really thinking in terms of giving some directions or some instructions to the adults. Number one, turn the closed captions on all of the videos and media that they're watching. You can do that before you send it out, but also encourage and show the adults maybe a visual with where to go ahead and turn off those or turn on those things on everything that they're doing. We actually live with closed captions on all the time in our house. The other thing to do is to suggest having them turn the volume off with a video and have them read just the closed captions to figure out what's going on. Other things to think about in video playback or playback speed. Consider using videos that have transcripts so you can print them out or they can print them out. Also allowing the students to highlight, manipulate, cut, move those transcripts around so they can do things with it, right? Also too, you can have the option to highlight the text as it's read. They can either do that manually with if they have a transcript, or if not, something like Tumble Books highlights it automatically as it goes through it. The last column is one of my favorites. It's called Stop It. So stop the video. Plan places for them to stop and talk. Maybe have them submit a small video of them talking about it through Flipgrid or something like that. Stop and illustrate. Stop and illustrate what you've just heard in a graphic that makes sense and is logical. Stop and jot. We do that all the time. Stop and jot. But provide very specific instructions as they go through so that they're able to do all of these things individually. Again, head over to that Padlet. So don't forget to go to the Padlet here and do some of those things, adding things to that as well. Next piece, leveraging feedback. So this is really about working with the adults that are working with these students. The first thing, and one of the biggest things that I think that we can do, is provide explicit adult STEM. So we have questioning strategies and questioning prompts that we've worked through in a variety of ways. We know a lot of good questions to ask the students. We've hit a lot of roadblocks. You've hit more roadblocks than you can imagine when asking students questions. So you have a lot of tools of the trade to ask specific questions, to work around kids saying, I don't know, I don't care, those sorts of things. But these adults maybe don't have the questioning strategies that we have and don't have the experience of hitting all the roadblocks that we've hit. So give them explicit information on how to deal with that, what to do with those challenging pieces. And then scaffold the questions. So give them questions that are the hardest first and scaffold on down. If the student's not getting the answer to the most difficult question, they can scaffold down and get the information that they need and give the kid that the independence they need to get it done. The last part of providing STEMs is really to predict misconceptions. So really kind of looking ahead and thinking to yourself, what's something or an answer that the student might normally give for something like this? And then give them answers, give them ways to work around it. So thinking ahead of what the student response might be and then providing information and resources to support them through whatever response that may be. The last piece here is providing structural support. So providing expected timelines for the adult. So how long they think it might take and really thinking your way through that. Giving them checkpoints along the way, giving them look fors as they go. So what do they look for? What should they be expecting in their student work? The next one is something that you guys have heard me cover before. It's the bless, address, and press, but really giving them the idea to bless something specific that their student is doing when they're working with them, then address any misconceptions or problems that they have and probably reserve that to one. So really think about what that might be and give a suggestion around that if you need. And then press, that's getting them started working and moving on. And incorporate and encourage the parent to not just help them, but after they help them to walk away and do something else and then come back a little bit later on to check on it. Got to start working and continuing to work on building that independence. The last piece is background knowledge. Consider the adults. Consider all of the training you've had, all the knowledge you've gained. They may not have that same training or knowledge. So really think of ways to get them the background knowledge they need. All right, so jump back over to Padlet. I'll jump over there real quick, and so kind of add some things here as you go. So here's again, it's padlet.com/zooktalk slash learning at home. So the last thing to do is if you have any thoughts or any questions, please don't hesitate to email me or drop in during my office hours. I'd love to talk with you about it. I'll continue to refer to that Padlet and build it up.